Hey guys, it's Ashley Canetti, the host of The Story of Us. Last season, I went on a search to find love stories, to be inspired and learn from them in hopes that one day I could use that knowledge to find my own love story. Well, guess what? I found my person, and here I am today to share with you the story of us. So I saw Jared for the first time on some paparazzi shots during Caitlin's season of The Bachelorette. And it was the boxing date, and he was runner-up in the boxing date. That was like one of his shining moments during that season.
My first shining moment on The Bachelorette, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, who is that guy? So then a couple weeks later, I got to go to a date on Caitlin's season live in New York, a taping. And the first thing I asked the producers was, is Jared here? Where's Jared? Where's Jared? And then they're like,
she hasn't stopped asking since.
And he wasn't there. He actually had a one-on-one that week. But they were like, Jared's sister and his best friend are here. So I just told him, okay, well, if he's not here at this date, make sure that he's in Paradise. And then I got to see 2 episodes of Caitlin's season before we went to Paradise. And on the show, I was like, yeah, he's cute. I like him. Like, he's probably at the top of my list. And then I saw him in real life. I remember walking down the steps in Paradise and seeing him at the bar. And like, it was the weirdest feeling. I was just so gravitated and drawn to him. It was truly love at first sight. And I didn't really believe in it until then. Like, I did not.
That fateful day in Paradise.
No, I didn't. And as much of a hopeless romantic as I am, I never really believed in love at first sight. I believed in infatuation at first sight. But now, after all these years, I'm pretty sure it was
the
love.
Ups and downs.
Yes.
My turn? My first impression of Ashley Canetti. I remember seeing you get out of the limo and thinking that you were hot.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. And then obviously you were a little emotional, and I was like, I'm not sure if I could end up being with somebody who's so emotional.
It's not like you were shopping for girls at that point.
I really wasn't,
because
though,
you were going on The Bachelorette.
I was going on The Bachelorette. I was only watching The Bachelor because there was a possibility of me going on the show.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, well, she's hot, she's cool, whatever, so on and so forth.
Okay, but now get to the juicy part where I made no impact on you.
You made an impact on me. Stop that. I'll never forget. So I was standing next to the bar grabbing a drink, and I knew that you liked me pretty early on because you always do this thing. You're either like a side eye or you're staring. You stare a lot.
I legit stare so
all the time.
hard.
And
If I think somebody's hot, I'm just like.
Yeah, I remember I kept looking, like I was just kind of like looking around, and then like I'd catch you, and you'd just be staring at me.
That's because I was imprinting on you. It was love at first sight. And
you're definitely imprinting on me.
Mine.
I just remember like you just like, I had this vivid image of you sipping on your drink and just like staring.
That is so creepy.
And then like I would catch you do that a couple times. I remember I was like, Ashley's really hot, but I don't know if I could see myself with a person like Ashley, because I've only ever been with very shy, very like, how would you describe?
Soft-spoken.
Very soft-spoken,
feminine.
Shy. And so I had never been with anybody like Ashley.
AKA big personality.
Big personality.
Puts her emotions all out there. I'm not like very well composed, but he's been with like very composed women.
Absolutely. But I remember always being comfortable around you. And then you got the date card and we went on that date. And I remember...
Apparently begrudgingly. Like, they narrated it like it was just the worst thing he could ever endure.
Certainly not that. Certainly not that. But I remember I was a little hesitant, I'm not gonna lie. I was certainly hesitant because I wasn't really sure my place in Paradise, who I wanted to go on a date with.
You just wanted to go on a date with Jade.
At the time, sure, but obviously not like now. But yeah, I remember we went on that date, we went on the dune buggy date, and I remember just being so comfortable with you and how easily we got along and how the conversation just flowed. And it never felt dull or it never felt awkward. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that.
See, he always says this. He always looks very fondly on our first date.
I'll always look
he
fondly
brings
on
it
that.
up all the time.
Yeah.
So my weird thing is my interpretation of our first date is a little bit different. Not just our first date, but that entire experience. He felt it was very comfortable and very friendly, but I felt like I was not out of my shell at all On the first date on the dune buggy, the conversation was flowing, but
Yeah.
that was because we didn't have like a cameraman in our face.
Yeah, it wasn't a forced conversation. It was just a very natural conversation.
Yeah. I just felt because of the competitive environment of Paradise, I didn't do that well because I was constantly scared of another girl coming in and catching her eye. And I just felt like it could fall apart at any second, and I never had gotten my footing. And that was so frustrating because being able to see him as himself, I knew how compatible we truly were, but I wasn't able to show that just because I was so clammed up. And I was overthinking every little thing that came out of my mouth.
You know what's so funny about that is that you feel like you weren't yourself Bachelor in Paradise Season 2.
Yeah.
I don't think I was myself Bachelor in Paradise Season 3.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Timing's everything, isn't it?
All right, well, that was our first impression.
Yeah,
of
Jesus,
each
sorry.
other.
Sorry, we just rambled on. I never felt like it was over between us after Paradise, which is why I said we're still gonna be friends. Like, it just didn't feel over.
That was funny because when I called my sister my best friends in the car after you basically dumped me.
It's fair.
He dumped me twice that first Paradise, but when he went home and I called my sister and my best friends, I go, Jared dumped me. And then they all were like, it's definitely not over. We can feel it's definitely not over.
And I'm not afraid to admit this now, but I'm not gonna lie and say that I was in love with Ashley during Bachelor in Paradise Season 2 and I was just hiding it. It was a slow build for me.
But you were also recovering from another.
I also think timing's everything. I just got off The Bachelorette where I was very much invested in that. And then coming into Paradise, and I think I had very high expectations for myself, which was the dumbest thing I know. Obviously, I know.
Which is weird that you say that you have the highest expectations, but then you ended up finding your wife.
I know, and then I ended up finding the love of my life.
Now, what do you consider to be our first date in real life?
Our first date?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I remember the first time really thinking
We're on a date?
of like, there are more feelings here than friendship.
Oh, what's that? When was that?
That was the charity event in October.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that wasn't a date at all.
No, it wasn't a date.
But this is definitely when I knew I got him.
Oh, yeah.
This story leads into why you saw me as crazy as I was in Bachelor in Paradise 3. So it was... Yeah. So, okay, we got off Paradise late June 2015.
Yep.
Whew, that was a long time ago.
Isn't that crazy?
We slowly became friends, like friendly enough over the summer. Remember, we had dinner with a group of people in late August, and then that made me feel comfortable enough asking him to be part of this charity event I was gonna do with, I think there was like 9 other Bachelor in Paradise contestants.
There's a lot.
And it was really awesome. We had everybody fly to my parents' house in Virginia. I ruled that weekend because I led the whole thing. I was like total boss woman. And Jared wasn't my focal point. It was putting together these 2 events.
And I was in love.
And he got to see me in my comfort zone, being at home with my family.
Such a different experience being with somebody in the show and then in real life.
Yeah.
And so I think that charity event was the first time that I saw you in your element with your family and your friends and on the East Coast, and kind of, I related to you a lot more, and you were just so down to earth and easygoing, and you were ambitious, and you were working hard that weekend, and you looked sexy. Like, I told her she was wearing this like purple V-neck dress, and her hair was up in a pony. Damn, you look good. I remember too, I was such a dick. Oh, I was such a dick. Because at the charity event, it was the second night, I remember you were like talking to somebody. It wasn't even like a guy, or you were just like talking to fans. I remember I walked over, I just like put my arm around you, and we were just like sitting like this.
You did?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm such an asshole right now.
That's so funny.
I know.
I knew that he was looking at me, and it was showing to him too.
Yeah. I was like, I'm an idiot. This girl's so sexy and sweet, and we get along perfectly. What am I thinking right now?
Do you remember when we were downstairs in the bar and we were dancing with Harvard sweatshirts on?
Yeah,
on top
of
of the bar?
Yeah, JJ and I were on top of the bar, and you and Julia were on top of the bar.
Yeah. And then I remember looking over at you, and you were just like staring me dead in the face, like.
Oh, I wanted you that night.
See? And I I thought, okay, I think I've done my job here. But also because I knew I had all the time in the world, I saw him a number of times throughout the fall.
Yeah, we saw
almost like every 3 weeks. Remember we went to adults only and you almost got me a rose outside and then that spurred on that whole rose text?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So much.
Anyway, yes, this text was when I was like, oh my God, he likes me. I was at a Hanson concert and it can't get much better. I call it my church. So basically I received this text during my yearly worship.
Perfect, so you were at church, it was perfect timing.
I was really in touch with God. And Jared texted me, I'm feeling sappy right now, so bear with me. So the mystery mail for you was a dozen roses, which I'm still trying to get for you. They delivered them to the wrong apartment. But it was just my way of saying how wonderful I think you are, Ashley, and how I feel like I don't tell you that enough. I remember leaving that bar that night in LA and not getting you that rose, not because I didn't want to, but because you deserve more than that. You deserve more than a dozen roses, but that's what I've got for you right now. I'm so lucky to have you in my life, and I just wanted to remind you how great you truly are. Please don't ever change, and I'm still working on those roses.
That was a good one.
You're so cute. Isn't that so cute?
Yeah. That was a long time ago. Damn.
Mm-hmm. I flirted with him, but in a very friendly, not scary, aggressive way. I watched Superman, the original, with Christopher Reeve, and
Talk about my heart melting. I told her that. She was like, do you have any movies that you want me to watch? And I was like, I mean, I always advocate the 1978 Superman. It's my favorite movie. Superman's my favorite character. And she texted me like a week later, and she texted me a picture of her with wine and then some sort of food.
He said it was Chinese food, and he said Chinese food and a good movie at home is kind of like my perfect date. So I kind of made my own date like that, and then I took a picture and sent it to him. And then what did you say to your roommate?
I'm in love. No. What did I say?
I just remember you being like, Crystal?
Yeah. Crystal, get in here. Get in here, Crystal. She's watching Superman. She's got Chinese food. She's got wine. I'm a fucking idiot. Did I see you before you came to Boston?
Yes, then we went to New York. We met in New York with JJ. And then you told me, I have an event on Saturday night in Boston. If you're gonna be here, you should drive up to Boston. And here I am like, I don't wanna be this desperate bitch and drive another 4 hours north for this guy and stay with him for like 24 hours.
And fast forward, and you ended up coming to Boston. We stayed that weekend. We went out. We stayed at the hotel. And the night we kissed.
Yeah, we didn't, it wasn't just kissing. It was like, we made out real hard.
Real hard.
Real hard.
Real hard.
Real
hard making out.
I remember the way I looked at him in the club. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be making out with Jared tonight.
And you were 100% right.
I also had like 15 hickeys on my neck because he was a 27-year-old who gave hickeys. You're my little vampire.
You're a 27-year-old with a belly button ring. I thought you'd like it.
No, he's never given me a hickey like that again, but...
I haven't since?
Not since like that. Maybe when my neck's gotten used to it.
Because you always like bust my balls about it, so I was like, well, I can't go that hard anymore, I guess. We'll see.
Really? You go gentle now?
Yeah, I'm a very gentle giant. But what were we talking about?
When I think about our first date, he was here for a event, and we were in it together, and he stayed an extra day. He would always extend his stays in LA.
I love being with you.
Yeah, he just wanted to hang out with me.
Yeah.
So don't think that,
No,
I wasn't getting some sort of signal that he was into it.
Of course, no. I mean, I've always, absolutely.
So I remember we were coming back up from the casino we had the event at, and I was like, you want to do dinner and a movie tonight? So
The Morongo?
Yeah.
You know what my favorite part of that was?
What?
Was when we went to fast food and then we were walking.
Yeah.
We were walking back to the car, and for some reason I was walking to get into the right side, but I wanted to sit on the left. Couldn't tell you why. Maybe it was the way we were coming.
Well, we had started on the respective sides.
And then and so I was like, man, I just want to sit on the left side, but I'm not gonna say anything. It's so stupid. And then Ashley turned to me and she was like, you want to sit on the other side? You can sit on the other side. We should, And I was like, this girl's amazing.
okay. We saw Deadpool, which is a movie that he only wanted to see. I didn't care
liked
about.
it.
I liked it. No, I actually liked that. Anyway, then we went to the Little Next Door for a very romantic candlelight dinner. And I was like, I'm bringing him somewhere romantic. And then he's just gonna feel like we're on a date. It all has to do with the vibe.
And so I'm just kind of like wearing a hat and then you got all dolled up and I was like, holy shit, I feel super underdressed right now. And then we went to this really nice restaurant and I was like, wow, I am really underdressed right now.
And he came over and he like kind of fell asleep in my bed. And we like kind of snuggled, but at this time I had to really force the snuggling, and this is when I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know what was wrong still.
My brain.
So this is when it started to kind of fall apart.
I think just during that time I was in a very confused place and I think I was being very indecisive. And I felt it was more okay for me to be decisive and say I shouldn't keep you in this gray area, so to speak, where I'm 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And so I thought it was always best if I said it's better if we're just friends, because at least it gives you the opportunity to really date other people and not have any expectations of us. Because that was my biggest fear, and I think that's what you tapped into in our second season of Paradise when you were accusing me of leading you on, and I think that was something
it was a sensitive subject for you.
And I think it was, I got really defensive over it because I think it was always something that I was very scared of doing, which is why I became so decisive in saying we should only be friends. Of course, there were more than friendship feelings for me, but I felt like if there was any doubt in my head, then that's so unfair for me to always be halfway in.
Which is why I was so confused, because even though he was sometimes telling me this, there were also times where he was making me a Backstreet Boys music video for my birthday and sending me 24 beautiful roses.
You told me that you never had flowers sent to you by a guy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be that guy.
Well, that's very sweet, but I wanted it to be a romantic statement.
Let me ask you this, if we left Paradise Season 2 together as a couple, do you think we'd still be together?
Probably. Don't you think?
Sometimes I think yes, and sometimes I think no.
But how would we not be together?
Because I think that while we're very much the same people we were back then, I think a lot has changed since then as well, and I think you would agree with that.
I totally would.
And so I question sometimes if we were really ready at that point in our lives, especially the two of us together, to be in a relationship.
It's probably true, actually.
I also think there had been a lot more obstacles, and while we've overcome obstacles throughout our relationship over the past couple of years, it's our friendship that's overcome them.
I think we have matured and grown and learned a lot about ourselves in those years.
And we've been able to do that because of our friendship.
I agree.
I think I'm more the person I was back on when we first met than I've been in a very long time.
Right. That's because of me.
I agree.
And then for me, I feel like I've just toned down emotionally.
I think so too. I think that you have grown a certain level of confidence that I don't think I've ever seen you more confident.
Yeah. I think we need to talk about season 3 of Paradise a little bit.
Sure, of course.
So in season 3,
What do you want to talk about?
In season 3, you told me point blank that we were never going to be together. I had our mutual friends telling me that he's never going to like you, that I am just obsessed, just infatuated, and that you are never going to see me as anything more than a friend, and I have to get a grip on reality. And then you are supposedly into someone else, but like, what were your feelings at that moment, I guess? This is like something that I feel like a lot of people are going to be curious about since they watched this particular chapter of the story of us on TV. And they're going to be like, well, what was going on in your head at that point?
I think we were pretty clear that we were going to go and date other people. If you were going to go on, you were going to date other people, and then I was going on, and I was going to date other people too, and we were going to see what happens. And then we were on the show, went on a date with somebody, and you came in like a roller coaster. I'll never forget that. And it was just hard. It was really difficult because I thought we were pretty clear on what we were going to do. I was trying to tell you we weren't going to be together because I wanted you to date other people. I wanted you to move on. I wanted you to be happy.
We had sat on this bed on the beach for over an hour and a half. And I said, look, you can't even get up from me. You keep saying you don't want to be with me, but you literally cannot get away from me. You're choosing not to. And he said that sticks because that's how it's always been.
It's always been that way. Always been that way.
We've just been magnets.
They have been magnets. I love that. It's one of my favorite things about us.
So then how did we get from that point to now?
It's a great question. How did we get there?
After that Paradise, we had so many arguments that summer when it was airing, a little bit before it aired, but that also has made us so much stronger because we talked out every single emotion that we had that summer between the respective relationships we were in our friendship, how we treat each other, the mindsets we went into Paradise with.
Yeah, we had some really difficult but very mature conversations.
And then that kicked off about a solid year of just friendship.
Yeah. I
But
think
a weird friendship, because I think we were almost changed by that.
Yeah.
Because you went into a dark hole.
Well, I think
You did.
I think sometimes you imagine like you're in this rainy day and you're in this rainy day constantly and it's always raining outside and you just kind of accept that as life. And it might not be your favorite life or it might not be the best life, but it's just kind of the way life is. And sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't. And I think over the past few months, I've realized that there is the possibility of me living in a sunny day if I just have the will and the conviction to actually act on my emotions. And yeah, there might be doubt or I might have insecurity about it, but unless I do something or say something, I'll never get what I want. So I think it just kind of filled me up with a lot of shame and guilt.
What are you feeling shame and guilt about?
Living with the consequences of, am I doing the right thing? You know? I'm like going after this other girl and we're going on dates and yet it's so much easier with you. One, I knew that if you and I were to ever date, it was going to be like our relationship was going to go one way or the other. If we were going to cross that friendship boundary, like there's no going back. And so if I even had like a 2% doubt about our relationship and what it could potentially be, then I probably shouldn't do it because I don't want to risk losing you as a friend. Essentially.
Did you think that I lost feelings for you at any point?
Throughout, like between Paradise 3 and Winter Games, yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
If Jared were to tell me in March 2017 when I was starting to lose feelings for real, that Jared had feelings, I'm sure I would have been like, what? And been like all excited. But this was like the time where I really stopped thinking that like Jared was maybe a marriage option because it had been almost 2 years since we first met. And he would stay at my place all the time. He has like his own day bed there. I just always felt like he was very withdrawn from me for a while and almost resentful and angry. And I couldn't quite figure out what it was. I just was like, I guess maybe he just stays here because he needs a place to stay. I don't think he enjoys my company anymore. And it was really sad. So I was like, I feel like you don't like being around me anymore.
It wasn't that at all. You're the person I like being around most. No, that's sad to say. Not because of you, but because like the state I was in, the fact that like I was happiest with you.
Yeah.
It's not a good sign.
That's what all of his like family and friends back home would say too. That they're always like, we've never seen Jared as happy as he is with you.
My mom one time, she picked me up from the airport. She's like, it's when I got back from LA. She's like, you know, it's never gonna get better than Ashley. I was like, thank you, Mom. I know. So, yeah, it was just hard. Don't cry. Don't cry. It'll ruin your makeup. I'm not wearing makeup, I'm fine. Okay. So I got a phone call to potentially do Winter Games, but it didn't work out, long story short. And so I got an opportunity to do Bachelor in Paradise Australia, and I didn't want to, but they were gonna pay me good money, and she was gonna do Winter Games, and I was like, well, I can't just sit idly back. It just aired, and I was watching myself back, and I was just so detached. Holy shit. It's weird like getting the opportunity to watch yourself back, and not even like acting, but just your life. So, yeah. And so anyway, I remember I was on a date with a girl, and
In Paradise or real life?
Paradise.
Okay.
Not in real life. But I was on a date with a girl, and it was in Paradise, and it was the first time I ever did a show without Ashley, you know, besides The Bachelorette. And so I just remember sitting there and thinking, God, I wish Ashley was here. I remember honestly thinking that, like, just to like, I just want to hang out with Ashley. And so I get back, we saw each other for a day, and it was just great seeing you. I texted you something about like, something along the lines of like, try not to think about me too much in Winter Games, or something like very flirty. And you sent me the kiss emoji.
I don't remember a text like that.
I remember it, because I remember you sent the kiss emoji. And I was like, that's different. But I remember my text was different too. My text was far more flirty than anything I'd sent you in a very long time. And your text back was too. It's so hard to really decipher between our romantic feelings for each other and our friendship feelings for each other, because we've been so close for so long that we really were, still are, best friends. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you went to Winter Games, and I remember I heard rumors that you might have met somebody. And I was sad. Sometimes I need a kick in the ass. Sometimes I need a little fire lit onto me. It's what I always need, you know? And so that was a big kick in the ass. You'd be like, you need to do something, or you're gonna lose the best thing that ever happened to you. Whether it be right or wrong, I have to say something. I gotta start living my life, because the entire time I felt like I've just been watching my life pass in front of my eyes. And at that time, I didn't really know what the situation was or what your relationship was. You were still in the show, and went back for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. We barely talked.
Yeah, we didn't talk much at all.
He said like Merry Christmas and like Happy New Year and stuff.
I didn't know how to.
And I didn't know how to respond either, because I didn't want to like tell him I was with somebody else through text. But I knew he kind of already knew.
Yeah, she never told me.
It just seemed like an awkward thing to talk to each other about.
It was hard. It was hard not talking to you. It felt different. That month felt different.
I just figured we'd talk about it in real life. So that real life came when we were going to St. Lucia, a trip that we planned with our best Bachelor couple friends, Jade and Tanner. We planned it back in September, and I got this text that Jared had left his passport here in LA, and he was in Boston. I knew that he could get his passport FedExed in time. Well, it didn't take long for me to realize that he UPS'd his passport, and
it was the same thing.
And he thought it was the same thing, but it's not.
I left Thursday morning to go to St. Lucia, spent one night there, and flew back the next day. It was an 8-hour flight down to St. Lucia, left the next day. It was a 11-hour flight back to LA. I gotta go see about a girl. So going into St. Lucia, I did a lot of self-reflection and trying to figure out what I want, what I should do, if I should do anything. Do I say anything? It's so unfair for me to say anything. God, it's so unfair. Ashley goes on a show, finds another guy, and now I'm gonna say something? What kind of asshole does that? It's honestly what I was thinking to myself. I couldn't get it out of my head. I wanted to talk to you about everything, because I just didn't know. I was in the dark about everything that happened on Winter Games. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to talk to you about it.
He wanted to do it there.
Because I wanted to, because I knew that if we went back to LA and I would have to we'd have to figure out a time and a place to hang out, and it would be getting dinner or getting coffee in a setting that I don't want to be in a city that I really just don't enjoy. And I knew that if I was able to go to St. Lucia, I'd have the opportunity to actually just talk to you intimately and very in-depthly about everything that happened, because I would have that time. So I flew to St. Lucia on Thursday morning, got there at like 3:30, and I was taking a golf cart back to the house, and I passed by Ashley and Lauren, and so we stopped and you guys got in, and I remember I just spent some time with you at the house, and we didn't talk about anything that happened on Winter Games. We just hung out, and it was very friendly and easygoing, and yeah, and that time that I spent with you, I just knew I have to say something. I got to do something. I can't just let this weigh on my chest. I was talking to Tanner about it. Tanner is very, he loves the theatrics of everything. So, but he said something that really resonated with me, and thank God he said it. I was talking to him about if it's right for me to say anything. You know, after everything, I'm gonna say something now. And Tanner said, it's more unfair to Ashley if you don't say anything, because you need to give her the opportunity to let her know how you feel and let her make up her own mind. I was like, okay. So that I'll never forget that night at dinner. Still never said anything. Never said. I've been there for like 6 hours at this point.
Tanner's like the little fairy throughout our relationship.
He
who
is a
like
little fairy.
says little things that really just resonate with
Yeah,
you.
just stay right in the heart. He is. He's our fairy godmother.
Fairy godfather. That's
fairy
perfect.
godfather. He is our fairy godfather. And so at dinner, we were talking about the Patriots. I'm a diehard Patriots fan. She was like, by the way, I'm going to the Patriots game this weekend with the guy that I'm kind of dating from Winter Games. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right. And so I didn't say anything about it. We kept having dinner. And it was good. It was a great night. We just ended up hanging out, and then we all went to bed like it was nothing. Next morning, wake up, and I wanted time with Ashley alone before we flew out.
I was like, you guys want to go on the float? Because they have these little trampoline-looking things floating in the middle of the water. And I thought that all 5 of us would go out on the float. Lauren's about to like run into the ocean with us, and then Tanner goes, Lauren, no. And then she's like, why? And he goes, he's gonna go tell her that he loves her. And then and then Lauren goes, haha, so funny. And he goes, no, but really.
Yeah, no, but seriously, he's gonna, talk about his feelings.
So there we are, we're walking into the water, and I'm like, oh, it's just us. This feels weird, this is awkward.
Maybe I could tell that you felt awkward, because I think you knew something was coming, but you didn't know what.
No, I just thought that I was gonna have to tell you about the past month.
Yeah, and I asked her, I was like, so tell me about this guy, what happened, what was the show like?
And I gave him the lowdown, and that.
Yeah, she told me everything. It didn't feel good. Yeah. I think I was just trying to deal with a lot of emotions in that moment, because I was trying to be as mature as I possibly could. I was also trying to understand the gravity to which, I was about to say. And I was also trying to deal with the fact that this was all my fault, And so I was trying to not shell up like I had been doing for so long. And then I just kind of talked about myself for a little while and my own insecurities and doubts, and why I think I've been a very closed-off human being for the past year and a half.
I left that conversation with him not just admitting that he was jealous, but also that he had feelings. And you kind of alluded to wanting to be with me. I don't think you said it just like that, though, in that conversation. I go, well, I finally got my chick flick. Could I have been in more of a romantic comedy situation, I was like, now? You're telling me this now?
I know. I also didn't want to, you know, talk to you and make it seem like I was presenting this idea of, well, drop everything. I want to be with you now. Because that was the last thing I wanted. Because I remember you said, you were like, I'm going to keep dating him and see where it goes. And I was like, I think you should do that. I think you should keep dating him. But I also don't think I'm going anywhere. And so I knew that in the coming months, I would have to really show Ashley that I was very serious about this, and this is one of the most important things in my life. So we were all in the airport, and Ashley and Lauren had an earlier flight than Tanner, Jade, and myself had. So you guys were leaving and saying your goodbyes, and you walked up to me with like this grin, and you grabbed my face. Yeah, like that. As if like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And yeah, that's when I knew we'd end up together.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we hugged, you left, you guys were walking down the stairs, and I remember thinking, I should really kiss her. I should really kiss her.
And then fairy godfather.
And then fairy godfather, and I remember sitting down, and also going through my head was that for so long, I've retreated. I haven't done the things that I've wanted to do because I've been afraid of the consequences. And so instead of actually acting on them and let the chips fall where they may, I just don't, and I shell up, and that's been kind of like the story of my life for a very long time. And so here was a moment where I knew what I should do. I knew exactly what I had to do, and I was scared to do it. But I was like, I should kiss her, I should kiss her, I should kiss her. And I sat down, and Tanner was like, you should go kiss her. And I was like, yep. And so I looked at Jade, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go kiss her. Jade was like, I think you should too. And so I was like, all right. And so I got up, and I walked down the stairs, and you guys were in line already. And I went up behind you, and I was like, I said something stupid.
You said, can I
I
steal
was
you
like,
for a
yeah,
second?
I was like, I know such a bachelor line, but I was like, Ashley, can I borrow you for a sec? You know, yeah, I pulled you over the corner, and I said, there's one more thing I forgot to give you. You definitely like hesitated for a second.
Really?
Yeah. And then I just went for it. And then we kissed. It was a good kiss. It was a really good kiss.
It was really, really good. Bottom line is I left and I thought, okay, well, that's everything I've ever wanted, but I'm definitely going to continue dating this other guy because I do like him. He's pursued me. He's really liked me. He's been all in the entire time. And I deserve to pursue somebody else and for somebody else to pursue me after all this time. And that's what we're going to do. We don't have to get into the nitty gritty about like January and February and how it was very odd watching the Bachelor Winter Games. But I just knew in my heart at that point it wasn't right with Kevin. I did not cheat on Kevin. I ended the relationship because it had run its course. And then Jared was still there. Jared did do some sweet things to prove his feelings for me. And
I had to be the guy that you were when she met you. That's what I was trying to be like. Honestly, I was trying actively to just be that guy. Because if you're not, then she's not going to want to be with you.
And he was himself. That's the interesting thing is like, I got that Jared back, the one that I first had all those overwhelming feelings for. And then I was like, oh, okay, wow. He just was a volcano ready to burst, and he burst, and he feels so much better.
I know.
So he was leaving my house, and he goes, oh, I have something for you, and pulled this out of his back pocket. And I love white fluffy dogs. All of my 4 dogs have been white fluffy dogs, and he has a white fluffy dog too.
Clark.
So the second I pulled this out of the envelope, I started crying before even opening it. Because only somebody who really gets me would get this for me. You know?
I got you.
Should I read it?
It's up to you.
Well, it's up
Do
to
you
you.
want me to read it?
Yes, I want you to read it.
It took me like 3 days to write, and I wrote it in a Starbucks near my house. It's terrible. so bad.
On loose leaf paper, which I kind of think is the cutest.
I knew I had to write it. It can't type it. It's far more intimate, handwritten. So it says, Dear Ashley, I'm sorry this letter has taken me so long to write. I think it's safe to say it's long overdue. I'd also like to apologize for my awful handwriting. Hopefully at least half of this letter is legible. This summer will mark the 3-year anniversary of our first season of Paradise together. Since then, it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride, an emotional roller coaster. I think a lot about the past 3 years, how things could be different. I know I've made my fair share of mistakes. There's a lot of things I regret. Unfortunately, I can't change the past, and I also know I'll keep making mistakes. I'm no Superman. But I also know that I'm tired of making what could end up being the biggest mistake of my life, which is letting go of one of the most important people in my life, you. I've always admired characters in movies that are willing to fight for love. The one willing to make fools of themselves to show the person they love how much they actually care about them. I don't know how this will end, Ashley. If it will end like 500 Days of Summer, where we end up going our separate ways, or if it will end like When Harry Met Sally. All I know is that I'm happier when I'm with you. I know I'm terrible at expressing how I truly feel or what I'm thinking, and I'm working on that. There has been so many things, Ashley, that have just meant the world to me, things that I love. I love how you actually took the time to watch the original Superman because you knew how much that would mean to me. I love watching football with you, even though the Giants suck. I love how you actually like making me coffee in the morning. I love how sweet and kind you are to my family and friends. I love that you made me that Matchbox 20 music video for my birthday. And I love that you call me Corey Matthews. And I'll be living my life and you'll be living yours. I just wanted to let you know that I'll still be here and I'll still be thinking of you. Love, Jared.
So I was scream crying, basically alone in my apartment reading that. Just sobbing and sobbing. And since he's written me other letters and filled my apartment with flowers. He tells me every day that he's the luckiest man alive. And
Because I am.
But my dad tells my mom that after 40 years. So that's very nice.
The story of us. God. It's a novel.
Yeah, it definitely is. We could write a book, but we ended up doing a TV show.
And don't be scared. People ask that all the time. You know, is it too late? I am living proof that you should listen to your gut and that it's not too late. It just so happened that the person I wanted to be with most was right in front of my eyes.
That's when he said the Harry Met Sally quote.
Well, I said, when you realize who you want to spend the rest of your life with, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. So that's the story of us. It's pretty messy, but it's also the purest and best love story
I think it's pretty
I
romantic.
think I have ever heard.
I think so too.
How can you not love this? How can you not love it? I would be dying.
I don't know.
You know, it's funny because so many people are like, they live in their own little romantic comedy world. And it's like, well, but look.
Yep, yeah, we do.
Look,
pretty
chick
happy.
flicks are real. They are. They're adult fairy tales, and they do come true.
God, people are gonna fucking hate us.